So that's a track from Kieran Lavery, who's just one of many local musicians taking part in an event called Jam for Jackie, which is taking place at the OES Centre on the 8th of November. It's a special evening, a tribute evening to the late great Jackie Flavelle that passed away just over a year ago. And Jackie's daughter Lisa joins me now in the studio. So Lisa, welcome. Hard to believe it's just over a year ago since we lost your dad.
Yeah, I know. It's been a crazy year. It's gone by very fast, and even though it's over a year ago, I'm still getting people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I haven't seen you since your dad died," and whatever. So it's been overwhelming in a way, the kind of outpouring of affection and respect that there's been for him. So
we've got this big night coming up, Jam for Jackie, which I see from the lineup, lots of great musicians, lots of local talent on the bill. And of course, your dad was somebody who always supported the young and upcoming singers, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, as well as having great relationships and friendships with the older musicians, he also loved to encourage younger talent, and not just actually in the fields of jazz and blues, but in the world of contemporary music as well. So we're delighted that Kieran Lavery is coming along to play at the special night. Dad was very pleased to play on one of Kieran's EPs towards the end of his career, and other younger players as well, like Suzanne Savage and Lewis Smith, people that were always encouraged by my dad, you know, to have a go.
And of course, he's also getting the Oh Yeah Lifetime Achievement Recognition Award as well.
Yes, I mean, the Legend Award, I can't believe that. I mean, it is sad that he's not going to be here to collect it himself, and he's in amazing company, the likes of Henry McCulloch, his old pal, Ash, Stiff Little Fingers. I know the award was given posthumously to Gary Moore as well, so there's some amazing names. I think there'd be two sides to my dad. One would be the kind of dismissive, "Oh, this is ridiculous, man, you can't give this to me," or whatever. But the other side, I think, would actually be touched, you know, and that's nice.
So I know you were very close to your dad and went to the gigs and went to his radio shows and stuff over the years. What was life like growing up with Jackie Flavelle?
Never boring. Dad had a great sense of humour, and I don't know if it's because he had a tough life when he was younger. I mean, Dad...
He lost both his parents at a young age, didn't
he? Was an only child and a sickly child. His mum died when he was only 6 months old of tuberculosis. His dad was a serving soldier and died in the Battle of Anzio in the Second World War in 1944. So by the time my dad was 5, he had no mum, no dad, no siblings. Just was really brought up by the extended family, and his Uncle Billy from North Belfast, Billy Flavelle, was in charge of the local flute band, and that's where Dad got his first instruction in the world of musical instruments. But his love for music just blossomed from there, and he very quickly was into the skiffle scene, into the show band scene, and before we had time to draw breath, off into the international jazz scene, you know.
I know we have some photographs from the early days here from the skiffle scene that we'll show in the screen at the minute. He was leaving school at lunchtimes and things to go and join the skiffle groups, wasn't he?
He told me the first gig he ever did, they had escaped from Inst in their school uniforms to go to the Rinka and perform a gig in their lunch break. But I think there's no doubt that the kind of the appreciation from the crowd and the camaraderie of the other musicians were the two things that actually sustained my dad through his whole life, right to the end, you know. And being a member of that kind of broad family is something that has always meant a lot to him. And
then of course, like many musicians, the show bands came along, and he was part of the Dave Glover show band, who's probably the biggest show band in the country at that stage.
I mean, Dad explained it to me at the time. I mean, he'd done the kind of skiffle grips, and he played a bit with the Witnesses and some other Johnny Quigley and some other of the show bands. But he described to me that getting the job with Dave Glover was like getting the job with the Beatles, man. You know, in local terms, this was, I mean, they were stars. And you know, the thing about the quality of the bands in those days was just awe-inspiring. I mean, they sounded as good as the records, and the records were made in recording studios with, you know, hundreds of pounds spent on them, and these performers were just world class, and they knew how to work the audience, how to keep them dancing, and I think all the skills that were learnt in the show band days were wonderful training, in fact, for an international career.
And then, of course, the London years came along, and Chris Barber, I mean, working with a legend like Chris Barber and Utley Patterson in that band as well, that must have been an amazing experience for him.
Yeah, I think he loved the experience of just being in London at that time. You know, the Barber Band were highly sort of respected by all the rock and rollers, so they'd be hanging out in the Marquee and the 100 Club, and, you know, Rod Stewart and the Faces would be there, and the Stones would be there, and, you know, there was this whole kind of family of contemporary musicians who had just come out of the blues.
Yes,
you know, and so that scene in London was meant to be fantastic. And also they were big friends with a lot of the motor racing people. He was very good friends with Mike Hailwood and spent a lot of time, you know, with the kind of motor racing rock and rollers as well. And they had a great time living in London.
And we've mentioned Henry McCulloch already. Of course, he was good friends with the late great Henry as well.
Absolutely, and of course Henry had his many years in London playing with the finest, and that was the other thing about Dad. He never had the green-eyed monster. He loved seeing local musicians do well. He loved the fact Henry played at Woodstock and got the gig with Wings. You know, he just loved it. He loved to see Van doing brilliantly, and he always kind of held up other musicians that were from here and wanted to see them do well, you know.
So he had this great career in London, and then he decided when you were very young to come back to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, my sister had just been born, and I think the realities of raising a young child in London with a musician husband on the road was kind of, you know, giving my mum mixed feelings.
Yeah.
So they decided they would come back. Came back to Donegal, but of course leaving music behind was never going to be an option. So he actually came back and started working in Salmon and Pierce, and there was still a music connection, and then shortly afterwards started working in downtown, and obviously kept the live playing going, running the jazz and blues clubs and all the bit.
So then came his great career on downtown radio, and that's obviously what made you want to become a broadcaster then.
Yeah, the magic of those days of radio. I mean, for a start, the broadcasters were of superb quality. They were really entertaining. The magic of the live, you know, the going live, and I just learnt so much about radio in those days.
And we've got some great photographs appearing on screen now. We've got that great photograph that's just popped up of your dad with Hendy. And your dad's looking cool in that photograph. Hendy's looking like a school teacher in the photograph.
The first wave of DJs, yes, school teacher Hendy. This is how you do it. This is how you be a disc jockey. But I mean, all the characters from those days, they had great fun. And that was the thing about the radio as well. It was great fun.
Yeah.
And the fun came across.
You
know, the audience could hear the fun, you know, and that was definitely part of it.
Is it true that he once auditioned to be in The Doors?
Yes, it is true, but I have to say it's after Jim Morrison had passed away,
right, okay.
and the Doors were figuring out what they were going to do next. So apparently Dad got some call from Ray Manzarek saying, will you come and audition? And they were going to put us up in a ranch in California or something. No, Mum wasn't wearing that either, so that didn't happen. That was a big no from Noreen, I think.
So we've got the big night on the 8th of November. You must be looking forward to this.
I am looking forward to it. There's a lot of people travelling for the gig, people that have played with my dad over the years, some of his closest and dearest friends, people going as far back as his school days, and people that he's played with much more recently, including some of the recent members of the Barber Band. So yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity. It's going to be emotional as well, you know, but it's going to be it's going to be a celebration, and that's really important. It's just, you know, it's sad Dad can't be there to take the award himself, but I'm certainly happy to do it on his behalf.
Brilliant. Well, Lisa, thank you for joining us on the show, and have a great night on the 8th of November.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.